I'm sure you've heard the term, it's a seller's market before, but have you ever bought a home during one? I've got 6 tips for you on how to get the leading edge in a seller's market coming up right now. Hi, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Barbara Natty, and I'm a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services right here in Southington, Connecticut. Now, if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you'll be notified every time I put out a new video. Today, we're going to be talking about buying a home in a seller's market. Well, first off, what is a seller's market? The real estate market is based on supply and demand. A seller's market usually occurs when interest rates are low and there isn't enough supply, homes for sale, as there is demand, buyers out looking for homes. You can think of it like the toilet paper shortage of spring 2020. You get where I'm going with this. Today, I've got 6 tips for you on how to get the leading edge when buying in a seller's market. Make sure to stay tuned all the way to the end where I'll give out a bonus tip. Tip number 1, get pre-approved for a mortgage. Now I know we say this all the time, and it is a very important first step anytime you're looking for a home, but it's even more important in a seller's market. You don't want to miss out on the home of your dreams because you weren't prepared and pre-approved before looking. Which leads me to tip number 2, act fast. Now in a neutral market, or in a buyer's market, you might have time to wait around before you go and see a home, or you might have time to view a home twice prior to deciding if it's the right one for you. But in a seller's market, when a home can go on deposit in days or even hours, as soon as it comes onto the market, you need to be prepared to go out and look as soon as possible. Tip number 3, work with a realtor. Now I know some buyers can be apprehensive about signing a buyer-broker agreement, but if you're one of those buyers, feel free to check out my video about buyer-broker agreements to set your mind at ease, and you can find a link to that video in the description below. In a seller's market, it's very important to have a buyer's agent. As we talked about in tip number 2, you need to act fast. When you have a realtor working for you, they're going to be sending you homes as soon as they come onto the market. Not when you happen to take a look at Realtor.com or Zillow or whatever search site you use. There are some buyers who prefer to call the listing agent directly to set up showings, but listing agents can be super busy in these times and you might miss out on your opportunity. Your realtor will make sure that you can get into the home in a timely manner so you don't miss your chance. Tip number 4, be prepared to offer your highest and best offer right off the bat. Now, in a buyer's market or in a neutral market, sometimes you're able to negotiate and go back and forth with the seller. But in a seller's market, where the seller might have multiple showings and multiple offers within the first hours or days of it being listed, you want to make sure that your offer is exactly what you would like it to be. What I mean by this is sometimes a buyer will say, "Hey, I'm willing to pay $250, but let's put in an offer of $235 just to see what the seller says." This isn't always a great idea to do in a seller's market because when there's multiple offers coming in on a home, the seller may just decide they don't want to negotiate, they just want to pick from the offers that they have in hand. Tip number 5, put down a larger deposit. Now in Connecticut, anytime a buyer puts an offer on a home, they are going to give an earnest money deposit to the seller. This is held in escrow until closing, and the earnest money deposit is generally about 1% of the purchase price. Think of it as a good faith offer, saying, "Yes, I love your home and I'm going to buy it. Here's some money up front so you know I'm serious." In a seller's market, putting down a larger deposit is going to show the seller just how serious you are. It might help you get the edge over the other buyers too. Tip number 6, write a letter to the sellers. Now, you don't want to get too personal with your letter because you certainly don't want to violate any fair housing laws, but it doesn't hurt to let the seller know just how much you love their home. You can write a letter thanking the seller for accommodating your showing. Maybe you want to tell them how much you love the pool or that you can see yourself sitting by the fire on cold winter nights. It doesn't hurt to tell a seller just how much you love their home, and that you plan to be in it for years to come and love it just as they did. All right, you stuck around to the end, so here is the bonus tip. Make sure that you ask your realtor to speak with the seller's realtor before submitting the offer to see if there's any specific terms that might work better for the seller. A lot of times, buyers assume that sellers like a quick closing, but of course, every seller, just like every buyer, is different. Maybe the seller of this home needs some extra time because they're moving across country. So if you wrote an offer with a quick closing date thinking that would make them happy, maybe they'd pick another offer because your dates don't work for them. This is a simple step that could get you an edge above the competition just by knowing what the seller is looking for. Well, thank you for joining me again. If you found this video to be helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. See you again next week.